Welcome to Dan's Talks. My guest today is Ari Selinger, a filmmaker, writer, director, producer of what I think are independent movies, and we'll talk about that a bit. But he's currently doing one here in Montauk, or at least researching, writing one, which he intends to call Navy Beach. Tell me about that. Why that title? That's a section of Montauk. There's a resort there. There's a dock. There's little tiny houses that used to be part of a fishing village there.
It's true. It's funny, for a long time the script was called The End, but there's another film in production right now called The End, so I've switched it to Navy Beach for now. But we'll see. Maybe that other one will change its title too, and I can go back to The End. But it's called Navy Beach because it takes place on Navy Beach, and as I learned also from your book, the history of the place. I have your book right here. It was very helpful in my research. Basically, I know a guy named Tom Ferrara. He's a mechanic. I've lived in Sag Harbor since I was a baby, and I always figured, when I went to school here in the city, I always really liked shooting out and, getting more rural, or I wasn't as interested in the urban landscape. So I always came out either to Sag Harbor or Montauk to shoot my films. And on a location scout one time, I ran into this mechanic, Tom Ferrara, in 2011. And he said, yeah, you can shoot in my backyard. And we shot there, and without trying to offend him, he has a very unique looking yard. It's full of wonderful tools that he's collected in his many years. He's a wonderful mechanic, but he's got 30 years of tools and parts, and it's strewn across his yard. So I really didn't need to do much production design, but we've kept in touch. And as this friendship has continued, he's been telling me this story of between him and the town of East Hampton. It seems that they were butting heads, and for a long time he was telling me about it, and I really wasn't fully grasping what was going on.
Probably trying to get him to clean up his yard.
That's exactly what they were trying to do. And it's I understand. If I live next door to it, I might be wondering what's going on here. But the truth of it is, it's really just it really encapsulates, I think, what's going on out here these days. It's a changing atmosphere, and it always has been, especially on Navy Beach. And right now, they're trying to build some beautiful waterfront properties, and Tom doesn't want to go. So it's a little bit of a David and Goliath battle between the two of them.
I see. Is that going to be the topic of what you're doing, do you think?
That's the topic. That's the topic.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting because there's almost no property there. It's between the railroad tracks and the beach, which
yeah,
at that particular point, which is where the road to getting you on Navy Beach comes in from Industrial Road. There's very little space there to build anything, and these little cottages were left over from a village from long ago, a fishing village that got scrambled up in the hurricane. And so it's going to be an interesting movie. When did you decide you wanted to become, or at least part-time filmmaker? I wanted to ask you about that because I see the films you've made, Opening Day, Deuce and a Quarter, Moondog Airwaves. They're spaced out about 5, 7, 8 years. Seems like you might have, I don't know, worked in a restaurant or something in between. Tell me.
I'm always editing. I've always been working on films. The last one I made, which is my wife did the painting for it right here, The Ghost of Hank Williams.
Oh,
we shot that at the American Hotel in 2019, and to be honest, it was really a return for me. I had been after school, I'd just been trying to get my feet on the ground, and finally now I think we're at a place where we can make this movie, and we have enough momentum. But really, I've known I wanted to be a filmmaker since I was 6. I used to go to that video store on on West Water Street, right across from right next to the post office in Sag Harbor, Harbor Video. And I
Right.
used to love that store. And that was really where it started, that video store right there, where the big uranium ball was. You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've known since then, and yeah, this is my first feature. I wrote it in 2020 during the pandemic. After we shot Ghost of Hank Williams in 2019, I had the juices flowing, we had the momentum, and I said I'm gonna write this feature. I'd written a couple, but I think they were a little too pie in the sky for my first one. And this one, I love Tom. Tom's been a really good friend, and I think he's very misunderstood. A lot of people don't like him. I love him, but I think he's very misunderstood. And I really started seeing this folk hero, this beach Americana folk hero in him. And then when his longtime girlfriend, who I knew very well, Freckles, who's a big part of this story, it's really a love story.
Uh,
She passed away in 2017. And that, along with this article in the New York Times on his case, it was this big article by this guy, Alan Fuhrer, who now does all the Trump cases and he wrote a piece on it. And and I was like, I get it now. I see the story. And I've been pursuing that now for, 3 years. It's taken us across the world. We were supposed to originally shoot in Belgium, if you can believe that.
why?
They have a wonderful tax credit there. So I went out to Belgium and looked at those beaches trying to make it Montauk. They just don't look like Montauk in Belgium. Belgium's not Montauk.
There are beaches out in Germany called the Frisian area, which is up in the north near Denmark, and there's some beaches there that remind people very much of the Hamptons beaches. So you just missed it.
Is that true? Oh, well, I'll have to check and see what their tax code
I think it's called Frisian, Frigien. You'll see it. Anyhow, tell me a little bit about the one you're known for. It's called Moondog Airwaves. What was that? I remember a fellow named Moondog who used to hang out at 6th Avenue and 54th Street in Manhattan with a spear. He would stand on the corner. He was sort of a Viking, about 6'6".
Yeah, the Viking of Fifth Avenue.
For years and years. Is that what this is about or not?
It's definitely, there's a lot of Moondog things that I wanted to include in there because I love Moondog, the Viking of Fifth Avenue or Sixth Avenue.
I thought it was 6th.
I think you're right, Sixth.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love Moondog. I actually included him in some of his music in one of my earlier films, but it was really a reference to a couple things. Alan Freed from the 50s.
Yeah. I remember him.
Yeah, Alan Freed, the Moondog Coronation Ball. And it was also a play on the word on werewolf movies, a Wolfman Jack, and that's really what it was. It was a reference to music and the radio and what the power of music can do.
Where did it premiere? Did you have it a show and there and all?
I sure did at the Sag Harbor Cinema in 2016, a couple weeks before the fire.
Yeah.
So, and it was wonderful. Played there all day. It was a grassroots thing. We had grindstone donuts served. It was great, and it's different than this one. It's more screwball, but it's very musical. And we shot it at Bayburger.
Oh,
Yeah,
I remember that.
yeah. I remember we had a guy jumping through a window. I'm sure they loved that. But
are these full length movies?
This one was 33 minutes, which was it was my thesis out of NYU. So we pulled out all the stops, and that was the one that really got me thinking I should shoot all my movies out here because you can fake it for a lot of different places. I've faked Montauk for Alabama.
Yep.
In that one, I faked it for Arkansas.
How did you fake? What did you have to do where was that in Montauk?
Oh, Clam Bar. I used the Clam Bar.
Right. Sure.
I was like, this could be Alabama. Why not? Except unless you're from out here. We faked that. We used the Clam Bar to fake it, and then it was very easy for Moondog. It was a night movie, and Bayburger, if you shoot it the right way, it just looks like a roadside diner on Highway 61 or something. So, yeah.
What else have you been doing? You're in the city, and now, did you always, did you grow up in New York?
I grew up in Sag Harbor and New York. Now it's been half and half. Now that I'm 32. Um, but yeah, I when I got back to I was born in Manhattan, and I came back to go to NYU, and now I've been here. Me and my wife live in Red Hook, which in a way is a little like Montauk.
Very little.
You know, and I've always been in film. I've been editing and writing screenplays, and we, you know, this is my passion. I don't think we'll ever stop. And you know, it's funny that the movie was called The End because it's really, for me, the beginning, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Navy Beach.
Tell me a little bit about um, some of the people you've worked with, and you
Mhm.
mentioned that I saw you were an actor also in movies, some movies.
I think I was in one of my friend's movies once or twice. Yeah, I don't know if I'd be nice. There have definitely been times where we've struggled to find an actor, and I've said to myself, maybe I should just play it, but I've never had to. Um, Now who have I worked with? I work, you know, I do have a De Niro guy, a guy that I always love to work with and write for, who's getting married next weekend. His name's David Risdall. I love writing stuff with him, and you know, it's a little tricky because there's a strike going on right now, but for The End, the Navy Beach movie, we have a great actor attached. I think I can say it that it's Tim Blake Nelson from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, and
Oh, yeah.
Scruggs. So he's set to play Tom. I think I can say that right now. But and we have somebody really exciting playing opposite him for Freckles, but we haven't signed her on just yet. So I want to be careful with that. But yeah, everybody I've worked with other than that, all my friends from NYU who have now become leaders in their field. My friend Connor, who's shooting this movie, is shooting a movie with Bob Balaban right now,
Yeah.
and Judd Hirsch. So Connor and
Those are also EastEnders.
yeah, they were
Yeah.
just shooting exteriors yesterday, so it's all in the
Where,
thing.
where were they? Do you know?
So he didn't. I think they were near Maidstone. I
Oh,
think they were near Maidstone, but yeah.
is it difficult to be allowed to film in the Hamptons? I think, are there permits to be got?
Yeah, there are permits. I I personally haven't. Maybe just because I've been doing this for a long time and I kind of know some of the folks that have been doing it. But in Sag Harbor, at least, Sag Harbor's been great. They've always been great. When we shot in Montauk, other than the clam bar, we didn't really have too many permits that we needed to do. But you know, it's all part of that routine. You always got to do this.
I
So
I remember going to Main Beach in East Hampton, and there were signs, not small ones either, that were stuck in the sand right where you come off the road and go down toward the water,
yeah.
uh, which said, "By going to this beach today, you are giving permission to be in the film." Blah blah blah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it turned out they had no permit. They had just decided they were going to do a movie here, and they had decided that that was the site they were going to do it. They went out there. They said, "Well, what do we do about people who are extras?" Yeah, we don't have any extras.
Let me write
We'll
that down. That's a
sign
good
something
idea.
that's giving them permission, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Did you ever become an extra yourself on any movies?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was just an extra in my friend's movie. What was the Molly and Max in the Future? It was a sci-fi film that he shot in the city, and I was one of the guys holding up a trophy. Yeah, I love. Hey, I would love to be an actor. I'll just put it out there. If anybody wants me to act, I will do it. But I've never had the nerve to actually cast myself in in my own movie. But yeah.
How far along on Navy Beach are you in terms of the shooting and producing it and writing it?
We were supposed to be shooting it now. To be honest, we were supposed to shoot it now, but the strike kind of, changed things around. We're ready to go. We just need to, the strike's really important, and just standing in solidarity with them. Once it's done, I think we're going to hit the ground running, and hopefully we'll shoot in winter or spring. Really, really depends. But we're ready to go. We're good to go.
What do you like best about the East End? Montauk or another town, or when you come out?
I think it's gonna sound silly. My actual favorite thing in all of the Hamptons is when you go on Old Montauk Highway and there are those little bumps. And if you go at them at a certain speed, it's a little roller coaster like, and you can see the water when you're going down past Gurney's. That's my
Yeah.
favorite. That's my favorite view. And I love driving over there. But in general, I mean, I love Sag Harbor and I love Montauk. Those are love Southampton and East Hampton. Don't frequent them as much,
Yeah.
but Harbor, Main Street, the Wharf, and Navy Beach. Navy Beach to me has such a, I mean, it's just when you look out at that vista, it almost looks like a cup, you know, when you see Culloden Point on one side and you've got Rod's Landing on the other, you see Gardner's. It's just very, very mythic to me.
Yeah.
And I think we all catch on to this. It's just the natural beauty is just stunning. I mean, that's really why we're all out here. It's just you know, when I was reading the first chapters of your book, I was definitely feeling like I was walking around in your shoes, just that kind of wonder that you get when you first kind of realize Montauk is a real place, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it helped for me anyway. It helped growing up in a suburb where until I was about 15, I was on foot. You know, I didn't have a car. I would walk around, and every block was the same as every other block. There were a few places we went in my family, but coming out here for the first time when I was 16, that's when you were born and raised here.
Yeah.
And I just saw what I thought was like the entire world, desert, you know, woods, beaches, crazy people, millionaires. It was like unbelievably complex. And
Yeah.
it was wonderful. And
Where were
that's
you from? It was Milburn, right? You were in Milburn before?
Melbourne, New Jersey, right? It's
Yeah.
sort of like Great Neck and
Right.
back.
Yeah. 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 I
And
mean, yeah.
um, oh, tell me a little bit about where you live out here. You're coming out here and where you
Oh, yeah.
stay.
Uh, I was about to give my exact address. We're in Sag Harbor, right outside of Main Street, off of Main Street.
Yeah,
Um, and that's we're right on Bayview over by Canio's Books.
yeah, I know where you are. That's so pretty. That Garden Street and
Yeah.
stuff. And there's this guy Potter planning things for over there. You know, the housing and stuff down. Anyway,
I gotta thank him.
is this a family house you're living in, or
Yeah. It's
and tell me about your parents and how they came to come out here.
Oh, my parents. Yeah, they have a good story. My my mom was born in Paris and my dad is from Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn. And I think they met in the 80s at Binghamton, and they found a love for biking. And I think they were invited out to come out to East Hampton and they wanted to take a big bike ride, and they I think accidentally found Sag Harbor and similar, you know, fell in love with it and set their roots down over there. It's yeah, that's how they got there. They're both writers.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, my mom used to work for Advertising Age, uh, and my dad is a writer for sure. I'm sure he'd prefer to be writing fiction, but he does a lot of legal document writing. But really I mean, all credit goes to them in terms of falling in love with what with the right things about the Hamptons, about storytelling. They're voracious readers. And my two brothers too, they're also going to be working on the film. Alon, my younger brother, is my well, whenever I'm in a tight spot, I call him up and I'm like, what do you think? This line or this line? And then my youngest brother, Eitan, is doing the score for the film, which is going to be mainly acoustic and try to I don't know. Do you know if Montauk has like a genre of music that you would say is inherent to the place?
No, I think the people who've come out here, particularly the famous ones, have done their thing that's in their head, regardless of where they are.
Right.
Billy Joel and the Rolling Stones. I mean, they've all been out here. Jimmy Buffett, but
Yeah.
they've done their thing, so you can't say that's true. That would make a nice movie. Is putting all that together and relating it to how they came here. I'd
Oh, I
really,
would.
yeah,
As we've been doing research for this, I just keep wanting to. I keep wanting to write more stories out here. It's funny. I even had a section. It's funny. Jimmy Buffett knows Tom. He knew Russell Drum from the East Hampton Star, who actually did an article on the film that we made back in 2011. And Jimmy, I guess, was very supportive of Tom's cause. And I never got to speak to him personally, but I was always kind of, aware that he had some very, and Dick Cavett too. Dick Cavett was a big Tom fan.
yeah.
But
Well, I think we've run out of time. There's a rule that says that people will watch a podcast or listen to a podcast for 20 minutes and then they want to go on to something else. So we'll end here. And thank you for being on the podcast. I appreciate that. And I look forward to your movie and uh, um, thanks very much for being on.
thanks, Dan, for being a local legend. And thank you for Dan's papers. I appreciate being on the show. Thanks for everything.
Sure. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.